Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today we're doing series Big Decomp Energy, and I'm here with the news today that the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Decomp has hit 99% status. That means 99% of the entire source code has been decompiled, and about 78% of it has been linked. Pun very much not intended, even if Link is looking at you right now through that window. And this is absolutely incredible because obviously we already have Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time as well as Majora's Mask as PC ports and recomps based on those decomps today. But getting one of the best GameCube games of all time, in my opinion, would absolutely be an amazing addition. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But I would say of all the older Zelda games, the stuff that aren't Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, Twilight Princess was definitely one of my favorites and one that I feel like deserves more love. And even though I'm not saying Skyward Sword was a bad game, that one probably hit for me the least out of any of the Zeldas. But before we get too much further involved, you tell me down below which Legend of Zelda game is your absolute favorite and which one do you like the least. So I'm going to kind of differentiate the generations. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are going to be the new style Zelda, and then you're going to have the 3D Zelda as well as the 2D. I'm just curious because it seems like a fun topic. But honestly, game decomps, whether N64, GameCube, or otherwise, have been a hot topic in 2025, and you're going to see a lot more of that coming into 2026. But getting something like a Twilight Princess decomp would be an outstanding time because that means it would be applicable for either a static recomp or a PC port. And I know those terms can kind of get confusing. They basically achieve the same result to the end user, being able to play a game on your PC with a ton of enhancements, modability, and new features. But a static recomp and a PC port are two different things, and I will definitely be talking about that probably sometime in December to differentiate the two. I've just been trying to think of a good way to explain it to everyone without getting technical because that's when I lose people. But Twilight Princess is just one of those games I think it would absolutely benefit from a PC port or a recomp. I want 16:9 support natively, maybe even ultra wide. I want a ton of mods. I want a lot of quality of life improvements. I want to be able to increase the graphics absolutely as far as they can go. And if you can't tell already, I am using Dolphin here and already increasing them because I think the game just looks better for it. So if we move over to the GitHub page, and I have linked it in the description down below, you will see the active decomp for Twilight Princess. And just so you know, this is based on the GameCube release, because don't forget Twilight Princess also got a release for the Wii. It was kind of bordering two different generations, but this is based on that GameCube version. I would say that's the easier of the two to handle because of course you don't have motion controls. And you will see, as of me recording this video, 16 hours ago there was a new commit, and there's 2,080 total commits to the project. And this is one of those things. GameCube decomps have been heating up in 2025. Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2 are in active decomp status as well, and don't forget Animal Crossing actually hit 100% as well. But I need you to remember something about these decomp projects. It does not mean just because they are getting close to being finished that once they are done it instantaneously means you're going to be playing these on your PC, whether a static recomp or a PC port. The decomp is half the project. Think of it this way: if you buy a brand new box of Lego, some fancy model, the basic pieces inside of the box and the directions, that would be the quote-unquote decompiled game. You then have to build it so that you actually have something to interact with. So when you're doing a Lego set, just think of that as the decomp and the actual finished model as the recomp or PC port. That means somebody has to go in and actually do the work to recompile these things either as the port or as the static recomp. Sometimes that takes mere weeks, as we've seen with the most recent Duke Nukem 0 Hour decomp on N64. Sometimes that can take absolutely years. There is no saying how long it's going to be, so just remember, once Twilight Princess hits 100% decompiled status, that does not mean you're going to be double clicking an executable and playing it. But you'll see here it is 99.02% decompiled and 79% linked, and I do love that it actually works for the actual game we're talking about. And if we take a look at the heat map here, this is every single asset, every single piece of code, every single thing that makes up Twilight Princess. If it is in green, that means it's been 100% decompiled. If it is in blue, that means it hasn't hit 100% status yet. And even though you'll see a big swath of blue and wonder to yourself, how is it 99.02% decompiled if that gigantic chunk of blue exists? When you actually click into it, you will see that I would say about 95% of that is green as well. It just blue indicates that it is not 100% 100% done. But you'll see here just how much progress has been made, and that's absolutely incredible. We're going to do a soundtrack sample though, just because think of this music coming out of your PC, maybe with 5.1 surround sound, or hell, maybe even Dolby Atmos if someone wants to mod it in. But come back after the soundtrack break, because I'm going to get a lot more technical on how these things get recompiled or ported without explaining the difference between the two. But enjoy. There's just something so nice about the Twilight Princess soundtrack, or even the soundscapes, and remember, we have a good history of the Legend of Zelda being decompiled. We have stuff like Majora's Mask brought over to PC, we have stuff like Ocarina of Time brought over to PC, and again we have them both in the PC port and static recomp status. But basically what happens after a game is decompiled, that means you have the actual code that would have been compiled to put on the disc or the cartridge. In the instance of Twilight Princess, obviously we're dealing with disc, but in Ocarina of Time and in Majora's Mask instance, we are dealing with that actual ROM cart. But every single platform has a code base. Something like the N64 is going to be using that MIP CPU, and that is something that has already been done. Where on the actual GameCube side of things, you have a different hardware architecture with a different CPU. So even though some things can be learned by decompiling N64 Zelda games, really we are talking about a generational leap as far as actually decompiling the GameCube stuff, and that can definitely be a lot more difficult as hardware actually ages, because don't forget, you have the PowerPC chipset on something like the GameCube, and that's going to use its own instruction set and its own code base. Every single processor likes to have its code written to it in a certain manner, whether you're in C, whether you're in assembly on the bare metal, whether you're in some other programming language. Something like PowerPC instruction sets and code are not going to be instantaneously pivotable over to PC. When we talk about a PC port, that means it's a code port, and they're basically taking what they have and almost rewriting it for PC, where something like a static recomp is recompiling it in a different manner. The only thing I really want you to understand about this is the level of complexity involved. The decomp is only one side of the same coin, and then from there you need to do something with that actual code to be able to make it run and do something interesting, and that definitely isn't going to be an easy thing whatsoever. But you know the Legend of Zelda community, you know the modding community, they're absolutely going to be motivated to try to get something running and something out for fans to play and start testing about as soon as they possibly can. So if you do want to build this, the directions are in the GitHub, but again, it is 99.02% complete, not 100% complete, which means at this point in time, you really wouldn't get a whole lot of actually doing that. And even when it is 100% complete, again, actually building it isn't going to render you any sort of executable file for your PC. Because don't forget, just recently, Animal Crossing was 100% decompiled on the GameCube, but we still do not have a playable version of that game as far as a PC port or static recomp is concerned. It is possible that basically someone's working on it in the background. We'll get an announcement next week, next month, next year, or in 18 months from now that it's ready to go. It is possible that no one's actually picked up that project yet and decided to run with it. That is how these things work. Decomp teams and recomp or PC port teams can and will be different. The people that work on decompiling code might not exactly have the same skill set to be able to actually port that over to a new platform. So I just want you to realize that if you see an announcement, a video from me or otherwise in a week or a month saying The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess has been 100% decompiled, be excited for that, but keep your expectations in check, because again, the decompilation is only half of the actual project, and don't forget that last 0.98% might take 6 months. You never know how complicated it's going to be, but it really is one of those things. This is exciting as a new frontier in retro gaming. Decomps, recomps, and PC ports are going to basically explode in the next 12, 24, even 36 months, because now it is definitely a target for a lot of developers, and a lot of different knowledge is being learned as every single project gets decomped and then brought over to PC in one way or another. And because I do have two herding breed dogs, a corgi and a healer, I'm just basically doing on a pony here what I see them do to their toys and my wife and I all day long, and honest to God, it works. They definitely know how to herd an animal into a pen, and that's just basically a fun joke because we're at the end of the video, and I figured I would talk about my dogs for just a moment because herding here always makes me think of them chasing anything that moves. And as far as chasing the decomps are concerned, I'll definitely keep making videos on this subject as long as you guys keep enjoying them, and I definitely have a couple more planned for the future. But we are done. I got all the goats in the barn, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.